Continuing where we left off, yeah, I had to basically end the video early, purely because dinner was ready. Yep. Now, picking up where we last left off, where we cut to basically seeing in the Avengers Mountain, we see She-Hulk and Captain Marvel talking, and She-Hulk has got a brand new look. Yep, and shows off her very muscular body. Yep, you gotta thank I think you gotta thank Ed McGuinness for this. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Interesting outfit. Yeah, nothing unusual for She-Hulk. She tends to go through outfits like once every few years, and it had been a while since her last outfit change. She's never had consistent attire. She's one of those few characters at Marvel who's never had their outfits be consistent. I mean, if you look at her debut series, she wore a frickin' dress that ripped every time that she went from Jen Walters to She-Hulk. Yes, that was her attire for a lot of the time. And this is now her newest attire. I mean, if you look at her, I mean, she's been around since 1982. Yes, this character's been around since 1982, almost 30 years. No, actually almost 40 years this character's been around. And this character has gone through almost as many outfits as the frickin' Wasp. Yep. So, that's basically coming. Also, and this, still to this day, I still don't know what Jason Aaron's reasoning is for putting her in a relationship with Thor. Yeah, I get the fact it's well developed. I appreciate the fact that he done that. But why She-Hulk? It seems like a very odd choice to hook up with Thor. Especially since there already was a woman in love with Thor. No, not Jane Foster. She'd gotten over him years ago. It was Roz Sullivan. Yes, a woman who, as far as basically how Jason Aaron wrote her when she showed up in, I think it was like toward the end of his run for Thor, he still wrote her as basically still having feelings for Thor. And it's like he was going to visit him in his room, and then she was coming and it's like, oh yeah, gone for a training session. Means they're going to have sex again. But here's kind of the strange thing about She-Hulk. She's one of those characters where there's no definitive love interest for her. She's got a string of boyfriends over the years. One of them happened to be Wyatt Wagfoot, a character who was at one point Johnny Storm's roommate, who she was engaged to. That went nowhere. Her first love interest was a childhood friend named Zip, who was actually slightly younger than she was, and it went nowhere. As a matter of fact, he hasn't shown up since the original 80s series. I don't know what he's doing now. Okay, so the Avengers go up to space, they will host Starbrand thing. They pass through, and they cut to this particular prison known as the Raven Star Maximus Prison Galaxy. Where they say it's besieged, designed, and managed by the Sierra Imperium. All stars, artificial stars, 100 million. Prefabricated planets, 400 million. Estimated population, 8 quadrillion. That's a big population. And we see that Thor, apparently looks like Cap is visiting the place, and he seems to look like Thor, but Thor is being possessed by a brood. Yep. Yeah, the brood are here, because why not? So we have She-Hulk basically battling the brood, which that found to be awesome. And of course, one of the most awesome moments happens in this book, where we see, get this, we see Ghost Rider driving his car across the frickin' spaceways. But that's not the awesome thing there. And then the Silver Surfer shows up. Yes, the Silver Surfer. And that was the end of issue 27. Yep, and then we see Silver Surfer, Terra Tamer, and Firelord, 3 former Heralds of Galactus who look along with each other. They see the Star Brand on this planet. We continue to see Thor, Cap fighting Brood Thor. She-Hulk doing her own thing. And they come across one of the most awesome moments. We have the Ghost Rider jumping into space. I'm like, how the heck is he breathing? Yeah, it's never explained. And then we see Ghost Rider standing on, well, probably his own flames in space. And he's having a fight with the Silver Surfer. Which, that's awesome. Yes, Ghost Rider versus... Oh yeah, and then here's another awesome moment. The Ghost Rider riding the Silver Surfer surfboard. Wow, that is like so cool. Like apparently he knocked off the surfer just so he can surf on the surfboard. And then apparently the Silver Surfer basically knocks his car out of orbit and crashes down this planet. And then we see Iron Man in the past fighting a Star Brand Hulk. Well, not Bruce Banner Hulk. And then we see apparently Iron meet up with Odin. He's like, what is this? Who are you people? Last I knew was a cave, surge of energy. And yeah, then he meets up with Odin, which he doesn't mention to him that he knows his son. Then we see aliens looking at Ghost Rider's car. Also, apparently, get this, in the car is apparently not only Ghost Rider and Black Widow, apparently Blade and Boything are in the car. Apparently. And then, of course, Black Widow just comes out of basically Ghost Rider's trunk. Yeah, his trunk is a portal to hell, believe it or not. And then she comes out looking like this. The War Widow. Basically her in a spacesuit. Based upon her classic attire. Yep. Also, Steve apparently abandons his mask in the storyline so he can put on a bandana and think he's, well, Vance Astro from Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, the future version of them, not the present day version. And then we have Black Widow fighting a bunch of aliens, which that's awesome. Her come across Silver Surfer and fighting him. As far as I can tell between Black Widow and Silver Surfer, I don't think these two have ever come across each other before. No, not that I can think of. Unless, of course, somebody say, oh yeah, they've met each other before. As far as I can tell, this has never happened before. Silver Surfer meeting Black Widow. Almost any time when Silver Surfer shows up, it's always awesome. And then Boy Thing doesn't really... Apparently he started possessing Blade for some reason. And then we see apparently Blade... Actually, he covers a Blade with his own stuff. And he stabs Silver Surfer. I'd be curious though why he doesn't look as shiny as he has before. Well, that's explaining Silver Surfer Black. He's able to stop Silver Surfer. But the Star Brand gets freed. And of course we see She-Hulk picking up Cap's shield. And we see She-Hulk fighting Terrax. Of course Cap is still fighting the Brood Thor. Captain Marvel is fighting Fire-Lord. Which I think these two have met in the past. I don't remember if they have. Fire-Lord, in case you're curious about this character, he's a character who made his debut back in the 80s. I believe he made his debut in the pages of Fantastic Four. I think he's a creation of... Not George Perez. I think it was Walt Simonson who created this character. Yep. Terrax also made his debut in Fantastic Four that dealt with the destruction of the Skrull homeworld. And then we have Gladiator show up. Yeah, I keep forgetting it's not Karnak, it's basically Gladiator. He shows up and, well, fights Starbrand. Yeah, it turns out Starbrand's taking the possession of a pregnant woman. Though what happens with her, she apparently dies, and the baby and of course, well, we have Gladiator fighting her, and then Brood Thor shows up, fights him. Then we have, and also Captain Marvel is in her binary mode. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, she hasn't done this in quite some time. Yeah, she can still occasionally do it, but not a lot. So we have Black Widow saying the famous battle cry of the Avengers: "Avengers assemble!" Yep. So yeah, so basically they take the woman back to Earth. Yep. Where they take her to some garden. Well, it turns out she was actually in the garden, and then she got imprisoned by alien soldiers. Yeah, then the Starbrand go frickin' nuts. Then we see Blade fighting Gladiator. That's cool, because these two have never fought before. Yes, a guy who hunts vampires is fighting a super-powered alien. And then we have the Ghost Rider fighting Firebrand. Makes perfect sense to me. Now, Silver Surfer and Thor have met before. I think they've also fought, and we see Terrax be taken out by Silver Surfer. And the pregnant woman dies, but she gives birth to a baby girl who has the star brand on her. And basically, well, Gladiator says just take out the Shi'ar Empire. Yeah, saying just get the thing out of Shi'ar Space Captain. If that thing, and what if it is what I think it is, then good help to you, Avengers. For all good to you. And then we see the former heralds, just like heralds have spoken, each like bestow upon a child a gift. And Terex like, I gave the gift of life, but not killing the brat here and now. I gave her the gift of time. For the good of watching. I gave her the greatest force, all the heavens. I'll give you my hope, little one. And while the Avengers basically take custody of the baby girl, and she's got the star brand on the back of her hand. It looks like to be her left hand, which is interesting. And that's where it ends. Yep, that's where it ends. Pretty short book. Yeah, but it's pretty good. In a nutshell. Not a terrible issue. No bad issue in in the entire book at all. I would give the book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good book. Next up, moving on to Wonder Woman. First of the 3 most recent trades that I have on here for this website. This is Apollo. That's the name of the app I use. And I can only check out 12 books a month. This is one of them. So we're reviewing the first trade post James Robinson, and this is before the previous writer came on board the book. This is written by Steve Orlando. Yep, this contains issues of Wonder Woman, Volume 5, issues 51-55, and there's a lot of writers in this book. Okay, now what's collecting this book is simply 51-55 of Wonder Woman Volume 7, not 7-5, the 7th Anniversary Special, and Justice League Giant number 2. 1 through 2, yes. Yeah, that's what's in this book. And let's see if we can find it here. This book has got a ton of writers on it, mainly because some anniversary issues in here. Yeah, these are Steve Orlando's main issues, but the other stuff is by Tim Seeley, Raphael Salvo, Robert Albuquerque, Brandon Fletcher, Carl Kitcher, Margaret Scott, Greg Rucka, Liam Sharp, Fabiola Moon, Margaret Bennett, René de Lenz, Jill Thompson, who actually does an actual miniseries, Hope Larson, and Gail Simone. Awesome. The cover trade is done by Stanley Angram Liu. Now, the artist of this book, there's a lot. You have Laura Braga, Akko, David Lorenzo, Raphael, Patrick Martin, Hugo Peritz, Rick Lenardi, Felipe Wannabe, Juan Street, Raphael Albuquerque, Carl Critchler, Riley Resmo, Liam Sharp, Baba Moon, Margaret Savage, Freddie Lenz, Liz, Ray Dillon, Jill Thompson, Colleen Doran, and Rome Bacci. Yes. Now, the story for the main issues is that we have this mysterious woman who was a villain of Diana's, and she spent a lot of visits. By the way, she's basically put at a prison known as Staveside Prison in Antarctica, of all places. And she visits her multiple times. Probably, of course, many months to basically reform her. They fight, they talk and fight. It basically lasts for a good period of time. Then she finally starts listening to her, and then, well, basically, the rehab. And it's like, oh, we see some radiation. And we see it's not Atomic Skull. I'm not sure who this guy is. Yeah, I don't know who this guy is. Some atomic villain. It's not Atomic Skull, because Atomic Skull is known to be a very beefy guy. This is not Atomic Skull. Also, the Atomic Skull is insane. This could be the original, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, and then of course, well, she leaves. That was basically, the story was called The 52nd Visit, of course, several years from now, Wonder Woman's released prison. And we have basically a guest star issue with Artemis from Red Hood and the Outlaws and the female Aztec. Yep, making her first appearance as the end, just like America. Her puppet here is perfectly fine. Also, love the interior art style. Yeah, love it. It is so damn good. I like the fact that Steve Orlando is actually using this character. Of course, they're in Gateway City, which I think this is one of the places where Diana is living. I'm not sure where she's currently living right now. I believe this is also the hometown of Aztec. Yep. Now, Aztec, like I mentioned before when I talked about Just Like America, this character was originally a guy created by Grant Morrison, who had a 10-issue ongoing series that ended and he got moved over to the JLA, where he got killed off in the end of Grant Morrison for the book. This is a second Aztec, though it's a woman this time, and she's an old friend of the Ray. The Ray, of course, is gay. Because the TV version is gay. Of course. Artemis, I like the fact that they have her here because, well, she made her first appearance in Wonder Woman, so it made perfect sense for her to be here. And they fight off an old Suicide Squad villain. Yep, that's really what happens this issue. Yeah, one thing I at least got to notice about these issues, they're all pretty much like, a lot of it like, first one's like a standalone issue, and we finally get a story enemy on both sides, where, yeah, that's the story arc, and it's just, well, Wonder Woman, Artemis, and the female Aztec just battling various creatures, battling this Aztec monster over the course of these few issues. It's awesome. It's well told, well paced. And I come across this guy. I think it's Ransom, I think his name is. He was from Suicide Squad. He's a Rob Williams character. Yep. Yeah, this whole story lasted for pretty much this whole rest of the trade. Yeah, this whole storyline takes up like 4 parts. Yeah, I think it's like 4 parts, I'm mistaken. Yeah. And there he is. Yeah, the character is for. Yeah, this character is a. No, wait, it's not Rob Williams. It's actually a Josh Williamson character. Yep. I'm not really sure why he's here, but just that. Oh, yeah, let's just have basically them fight each other for that period of time. And then come across the 75th anniversary. This is basically various writers and artists writing short stories Wonder Woman for the special. The first story is set in World War II, where you have Wonder Woman fighting Nazis. Yep, that's literally what happened. This is the Raphael Saville and Robert Albuquerque story. Who also he does the interior artwork. Yep, that's Robert Albuquerque's artwork there. Yep. And then we have this next story, which looks like you have Wonder Woman in her pre-Flashpoint attire. How do I know this? Because it's the costume she wore. I mean, look at this costume. It's the pre-Flashpoint costume. Anybody can tell it, but simply look at that. Yeah, that's her in a pre-Flashpoint attire, where it's simply put a swimsuit. Fights pretty much in this story, just fights Poacher. Yeah, this is done by Brandon Fletcher and Carl Kitchler, who's also the artist on here. Yep. And then we have Brian Badley doing some various covers he did for Wonder Woman in the 90s, basically from 92 to 95. These are not bad looking covers. Not at all. Brian Ballard is a very good artist. Here's the cover when this is how he draws the Joker. Yeah, when Wonder Woman basically was not Wonder Woman anymore. She basically auditioned to Artemis. Yep. Then we have various old sketches of basically Wonder Woman covers from the 90s. At least several of them. Then we have Margaret Scott's story, and Wonder Woman's back in her current costume. Then we have Riley Rosmo basically drawing the artwork. And it's not that good looking artwork. I mean, the way Wonder Woman looks, I mean, it's fine the fact she's muscular, but does she really look this odd on this artwork? Nothing against the artist, just that doesn't fit Wonder Woman. And she fights Giganta in this story. Oh, don't worry, she fights Giganta appears later on in the book. In the following run, I should point out. And basically had Giganta go up to jail, and that's simply it. And then we have apparently an interview from Lois Lane. I'm not sure who wrote this. From Daily Planet Sun magazine. And then we have the Liam Sharp story. Now, Liam Sharp does have experience writing Wonder Woman and also drawing her because he was the artist well, he was one of the handful of artists for Greg Rucka's run when he had the period of time for when he was writing the book. He had it where every other issue was like the even number of issues was a flashback one. Odd was the present day stuff. Actually, it was opposite. It was even the past and, well, basically it's the truth and lies. And yeah. Now, the experience he has writing the character was in the miniseries Brave and the Bold, featuring him, her, and Batman. Yep. And I love how he draws Diana. It looks so good in this artwork. Surprisingly, though, despite the fact this is celebrating 75 years, apparently for some reason, Meredith and David Finch weren't asked to do a story for this. I mean, I get David Finch maybe not doing interior artwork, but maybe Meredith Finch could do like a, I don't know, a story. But nope. This is done by Fabian Moon. Yeah, this is a very... It seems like it's a semi-realistic story, like what Wonder Woman exists in the real world. And it's called Wonder Woman 75th Song. I love they have the DC Bombshells costume for Wonder Woman. That's great. Yeah, that was for, like, the next story. This one is Fabian. This is very stylish, per se. It's okay. It's not terrible. Now, I love the fact that Margaret May got a chance to do a story for this because she wrote Wonder Woman in the pages of DC Bombshell, so why the heck not? And have her wear the costume, which is awesome. And that's just basically kind of like a 2-page story. And then we have one done by Yana Parik and Eric Luke. Show off their artwork for Wonder Woman. Then we have one by Randa. Then basically we have Wonder Woman in her World War II attire. How? Well, it's her wearing her Golden Eagle in the attire, her outfit, plus her bomber outfit as a skirt. And she's fighting the Baroness in 1945. Yes, the Baroness. She's an old DC villain who Wonder Woman fought constantly in World War II. She doesn't really appear villain. She's basically a Nazi. Yeah, but what I can tell you about, I think this is also the same artist who wrote the Legend of Wonder Woman series. Yeah, that was second volume. One was like Alter History. Yeah, I think this is the same person. Because, this is called Legend of Wonder Woman. Yeah, this is kind of like a follow-up to that miniseries. It's really good, I should point out, though. Yep, and then we have one by Jill Thompson, who actually did this was called Wonder Woman, the True Amazon, which I believe was actually a one-shot. And this follows up from the one-shot follows up with this. It's a interesting art style. Wonder Woman just chasing some bad guy there. There's some IKEA ripoff. Actually, it's IKEA. It's done by Hope Larson. That's the next story. Yeah, that one's called Democratic Design. Yep. And then we have a Just Like story featuring Wonder Woman teaming up with Superman. This, of course, is before Superman Reborn. How? The costume. Actually, this is before Bendis took over the book. So it just basically, we see a character looks almost like Moon Girl from Marvel comic books, and the fighting Taito. If you don't know who this character is, he's an old Superman villain from the 80s. Yeah, it was actually a cover that actually had him fight a version of Godzilla in DC's attempt to spoof King Kong vs. Godzilla. It's an interesting little story. It can easily fit between any point in Wonder Woman book. And I think it ends with seeing Wonder Woman's invisible jet. You can't exactly clearly see it because of the glare. But yeah. We have more pinup artwork. And then we have another story featuring, look like Steve Trevor. This is a Tim Seeley story with Rick Nardi in the artwork. And this, of course, is really, really good. I love Rick Nardi's artwork. This is the same guy who did Spider-Man 2099. So, of course, the guy's a damn good artist. And the way he draws Wonder Woman just looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if he took over the artwork for Wonder Woman at some point. And of course, in the story, she confronts Ares, back in his classic George Perez look, which I'm like, wow. That's something, especially since, well, in the Rucka run, Ares was in prison in frickin' Themyscira. Yeah, apparently half the time, Wonder Woman, she's a bit inconsistent. Not as bad as Green Arrow, per se. And then we have her fighting in Themyscira in flashback, and that's it. This one is a flashback story when Wonder Woman was a child, where she basically saved some whales and she got chastised by her mother, called Mother's Day. It's another Tim Seeley story. Of course, you have various monsters pop up in the story. It's really good. And apparently it looks like, though, that Hippolyta got a chance to see Steve Trevor again. And she sees that Diana's happy, so she's not going to interfere with them. Not necessarily. But in the case of this story, it's interesting to say the least. It's not terrible per se, but that's the Orlando for you. But it's quite interesting under the era of G. Will Wilson, the former writer of Miss Marvel. Yeah, apparently when she left Marvel, she jumped DC to write Wonder Woman, which she stayed for a pretty good period of time. She did this book for like 30 issues, and then she left. I don't know why she left. She did the book for about 2 years. Yeah, she didn't look very long, but she did 30 issues, which that's a pretty accomplishment for her. As for why she left, I'm not really sure why she left. It's quite odd. I think she left just before, either it was just before or after when the series hit 750. I think it was just before. Yeah, because book currently is 750. I remember the current writer right now, but it's not her anymore. I'll discuss her in the next Comic Corner. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this particular video. Do I have videos coming tomorrow? Yes. Is the Wrong Time Girls Dungeon? Yeah, and you're sure have the Apprentice. Those two coming tomorrow. Fire Force is a maybe. And maybe I'll do my first view for 27 tomorrow. Who knows? Okay? 6th video. Bye.